Chapter 8, Unite and Conquer. Hopefully you're all having a great day. Remember, if you enjoy, just subscribe. The morning after the re-coronation. You and Tristan lock yourselves in the palace's library to discuss your next steps regarding the twins. Whatever Casper took from the scene of Nadja's murder, he did it alone. Emika sounded like a PR agent trying to do damage control. That tracks with all the previous thefts. Emika helps Casper clean up afterwards, even if they don't approve of what he's done. So, if Casper murdered Nadja... Tristan nods grimly, pouring in another cup of coffee from a silver coffee pot. If he killed her, yes, Emika wouldn't hesitate to help Casper cover his tracks. But murder is hardly Casper's style. He likes shiny valuables he can hoard and brag about to his friends. Style or not, he and Emika know something we don't. We need them to tell us what. We'll have to tread carefully. If they know we're onto them, they'll close ranks like they did at dinner. We'll get them to come clean. I've cracked the closest of the confidants, lovers, best friends, even siblings. You just need the right angle. We should... I mean, they do act like children. Explain the truth can protect them. I've seen how close they are. We can use their instincts to protect each other against them. That could work. Emika once betrayed Casper's confidence, but it was to save him from serious prison time. You mean your mom didn't step in to protect him? If you're thick enough to get caught breaking foreign laws, the Queen believes it's on you to bear the consequences. Emika once organized a plea deal when Casper insisted on pleading innocent. 5 years were reduced to a fine and a public apology. So it was the threat of being separated that motivated Emika. We can use that. So long as we're careful. Emika's love is as ferocious as it is fierce. Do we think Emika could have killed Nadja, and now Casper's protecting them? Emika isn't violent. Well, not physically. But if Nadja had threatened Casper in some way, then I can see Emika taking whatever action is necessary to stop her. I can sympathize with that. But your siblings need better outlets for their rage. A smile tugs at his lips. Are you suggesting that the royal family of Dracovia is in need of therapy? And then some. If you weren't royals, you'd all been in jail years ago. Ah, but if we weren't royals, we wouldn't need therapy. What are the semantics with the client privilege here? Would Emika's therapist be a useful witness? Bold of you to assume Emika reflects on their mental health. No, I'm afraid we'll have to do this the old-fashioned way. I believe it's time for another interrogation. You take Tristan's hand and he leads you out in the hall, swiftly cutting a path to the twins' room. Anything else I should know before I get emotionally eviscerated? He shoots you a playful glance as you pass by the extravagant windows and pillars of the palace. Just that... You're into a halt as you come face to face with the Queen. Alice wags her tail as Queen Victoria gives her head a perfunctory pat. Ah, yes, there you are. With your hand as usual, I'm relieved we found each other. That makes one of us. Leave the detective to her investigation. You or I are in need of Parliament to preside over some legislative discussions. I wasn't aware they were discussing anything today. Sebastian has asked for time on the floor. He wants to restart proceedings for the Act of Hair Equity. Now? Well, someone's trying to bump Tristan from the line of succession? With a splash of murder. Yes, that would be suspicious timing. If half the court hadn't heard Tristan championing the act after his trial. You know I support the legislation, Mother. I always have. And I always thought it was foolish. Now we must preside over weeks of discussion. She arches a brow and sweeps from the room, the clear expectation that Tristan will follow her. I feel like we're getting to know each other, the Queen and I. We'll have to speak to the twins tonight. Until then, I feel a lot better if you were with Marjorie. She should be working downtown today if you're planning to stop by. I'll see what she's up to. Don't worry, no one's gonna kill me before you get back. So steadfastly reassuring, as always. Tristan pecks you on the lips with a brief kiss, leaves you wanting. As he follows the queen out, every ounce of warmth in the hall leaves with him. You take a short walk through the city of Dracos to the runway where Margaret is preparing for her next show. A dozen seamstresses frantically pin fabric to mannequins while she has set designers block out the runway. Let me guess, we're gonna participate in this. No, not like that. Pin the underside of the hem like this. I'm trying. Margaret and Luke stand in the center of the action, critically eyeing a model in the half-finished ensemble. It takes you a moment to realize the model is Ruby. Hi, Chloe. Do you like my boots? I feel like I've walked into a project runway. Where are all the hopefuls and up-and-coming designers? Please. As if I have time for crying over a sequin at my sewing station. Margaret's trying to find the theme for upcoming fashion show. Ruby could step on me in those boots. They're carrying that over to this now. Maybe I should leave them on. Please be serious, you two. The show is important. It has to be perfect. What's wrong, Marjorie? Luke and Ruby are just kidding, and maybe they could be a little bit more sensitive to the gravity of the situation. You got Luke and Ruby, a meaningful glare, jerking your chin towards Margaret's chest-full expression. Luke clears his throat. yeah, super gravitational. Pressure that we can all equally comprehend. You're right. I suppose it's just nerves. What's getting you so worked up? This will be the second full runway show I've held in Dracovia. Your second ever? Which makes this the first show since Juliana disappeared. I never had the heart to try another here until Vasily encouraged me to hold the showcase. He told me it was high time Dracovia saw what I was made of. That's why you held the showcase? If Tristan can be re-coronated, I can make a re-debut. Despite the name I've made for myself internationally to Dracovia, I'm just a princess with an interest in fashion. Then we need to show Dracovia you're a fashion icon. A fashion queen. If I ever decide what I want my collection to say. Anyway. Luke looks appraisingly at one of the more completed pieces hanging on a mannequin. I'm not exactly a fashion guy, but I'm getting a real trust no one, take no prisoners vibe from these. Like, wearable armor, but sexy. They're a continuation of the piece Chloe wore when we arrived in Dracovia. I was so inspired by the way she bore herself into it. Jet-lagged, confused. On the contrary, you arrived and demanded acknowledgement and retribution. A true blend of American confidence and Dracovian strength. You know that describes you too, right? I called the three of you here to help me, not compliment me. There are quite a few pieces I'm having a hard time conning. They all say so much. Hit us. Maybe we can help you land somewhere. The pieces that are more sharp and clean symbolize the future and excitement for the possibilities ahead. Overall, a positive vibe. The darker pieces remind me of my heritage, culture, fierce beauty that lives in my blood as a Dracovian. A little less positive. The gold and green represent my place in the family, the conflicting nature of being illegitimate, occasionally overlooked, but still proud to bear the name Thorne. You consider her words. You should make the audience look to the future. After all, the whole show is about starting fresh. She nods thoughtfully. A new leaf for bright future. Sounds so obvious now. I told you this look was a winner. Thank you. Designing a collection in such a short time, it can be difficult to see the full picture. Especially when the pressure is to do so well in this. Do you remember much of your first runway show? In vivid detail, it was supposed to be the best night of my life, but I spent most of the night upset. I always thought things turned sour after you learned about Juliana, but you were upset before? I was 16, desperately wanted to impress my oldest brother, so when Vasily told me that Tristan and Juliana hadn't even stayed for the finale... Ouch. brother move. I was crushed, furious. I said terrible things about him at the after party. So that night, you and Tristan got in a fight? No, I never saw or told him how upset I was. Why not? Tristan came home the next morning, frantic with the news that Juliana was missing. Everything else paled in importance beside that. You never told him later? Too much time passed, there never seemed to be any point in rehashing things. Though I am surprised the twins never told him. It's exactly the sort of drama they live for. Margaret trails off, looking past you at a small troop of royal guards pushing past the barricades along the runway. Princess, are your models here? They're waiting for you in the building. Colette gives a brusque nod and heads towards the indicated building. What's all that about? As you're acutely aware, one of my family's members is a murderer with a flair for drama. I'm not taking any chances at my show. What do the models have to do with it? If any of my siblings tries to tamper with anything backstage, they're best poised to see it. And the most at risk of being hurt. I'm hoping that if Colette runs them through enough drills, they'll be better prepared. Tristan's downfall began at my last show. The symmetry might be too tempting for whoever is doing this. So the show is our opportunity to catch him in the action. That's exactly what Lydia said, and I don't want to turn my show into a trap. The trap would involve encouraging not just Killer to act. We'll just have to be on high alert in case any of your siblings tries anything. That's the other trouble. The show will be a magnet for drama, murder or not. During my first show, the twins made my first model cry on the runway. Her mascara started running 2 steps in. They ruined your show? Almost. I rubbed a tear stick on the rest of the models before they went out. The people call it haunting. Emeka was furious. They might play it cool, but Emeka has to have a bit of an aggressive streak. I barely survived our conversation at dinner. They scare me. Marjorie, you're about the same age as the twins. How well do you know them? Barely. They're thick as thieves, pardon the pun, and always spoke in the private language of theirs. I told you, straight out of The Shining. I'm planning on interrogating him. Anything I should know? It's hard to say. Emeka and I mostly commune over email. It's usually about how to control people through fashion. Well, like a call? It wouldn't be their first, but it's power and sway you wanted, an edge. I could grant Luke access to the twins' intelligence files that'll give you a better insight than anyone in our family could. The more information I have to work with, the better. Let's visit the backstage area. We'll have more privacy there. Marjorie leads your team backstage where she and Luke can convene on their phones. Ruby elbows you. These two are like kids in a candy shop. What can we say? They love a good gossip sesh. Luke glances up looking smug. I heard that. Gossip sesh just produced 2 files and some creepy twins for your viewing pleasure. Luke hands you his phone, 2 files await your perusal. Let's go with Emeka since she seems to be the constant name that's popping up. Emeka Thorne! Fashion influencer, significant relationship, Casper Thorne, Patrick Thorne, Margaret Thorne, blacklisted by 90% of the fashion houses in Europe. Despite this, known in Dracovia and parts of Europe as a fashion icon. Beloved by their sizable social media following, by their brutal takedowns of the other celebrities, rumored to be running a secret social media community, aka a call. Strained a relationship with his sister Astrid Thorne, doxed Astrid's girlfriend during a debut art show. Twin things. They have a particular weakness when it comes to their twin brother Casper. Emeka is responsible for paying 83% of Casper's multiple bails over the years. Known to speak a private language with the twin, thus far, a lot of this we already knew, and have since adopted the code word magpie when communicating in front of others. Magpie is the only interesting part here. So, they've made bullying their entire career? That's sad. Literally, most of the big content creators on the internet right now, you know how it works. Everybody likes tearing one another down. You know what they say about doing what you love. Emika has always been gifted in the art of emotional manipulation. Margaret, tell me, has Emika ever shown a proclivity for violence? What the scene with Astrid's date? Emika's, what makes her so poisonous? Casper doesn't seem to be quite the same bite to him. Yes, Casper's more of a dreamer. If it weren't for Emika, I doubt he'd go out of his way to upset people. But Casper isn't as observant as Emika is. He didn't notice how absent our father was when it came to the two of them. Emika felt neglected? Emika was neglected, emotionally at least. As much as I love my father, he's always been one to show favorites. Tristan was one, I'm another. So, as a little kid, Emika had to watch their dad lavish you with attention instead of them. Perhaps they thought the only way to take control of the situation was to punish me, and never went around them for it. It doesn't excuse anything, but I guess that explains a little. Sufficiently weird and unsettling. We still have Casper's to read through, though. Pull out Emika's file and pull up Casper's in its place, scanning the text for clues. Casper Thorne, royal duties, significant relationships, Emika, the Diamond Eyes, several short-term partners are known of, including model Alexia Merrick and art dealer Louis Van Hoff. Confirmed art and jewel thief, codename is Serpentine, former member of the International Diamond Eyes Syndicate. Rumored super team of criminals, other members' identities remain unknown. Sold out by anonymous member during an infamous Louvre heist. Casper apprehended and deported as a result. Others known failed heists include the crown jewels of Montesoro, Monet's Camille sur son lit de Malt, and the Cordonian Golden Apple. Wow, this guy is really obsessed with Cordonia. Legally barred from entering France, Germany, Italy, Cordonia, and Montesoro. Twin things. Casper has a particular weakness when it comes to his twin, Emika, things we already know. Recently posed as Emika on social media while they were bedridden with the flu, not a single follower suspected the exchange. Known to speak a private language with the twin, and since adopted the code word magpie when communicating in front of the others. So really, this diamond choice didn't really give us shit. Seriously, when you think about it, it didn't. It's a serious criminal record for a 24-year-old. And that's just what we know about. Imagine having everything handed to you and still wanting more. Have you met most of the people in this world? Seriously. Margaret, I don't get why Casper started stealing, how he managed to nick a Monet painting. What is the deal with the Diamond Eyes? Diamond Eyes doesn't matter. It sounds like a thief organization. We'll go with what started stealing. Casper's always had a habit of taking things. Whenever something important went missing, we'd find it in some kind of nest in his room. That's a nice way of saying that he's been stealing from you all since you were kids. And he probably stole something from the crime scene, too. I don't think he ever thought of it as stealing, not then anyway. You mean he didn't do it maliciously? He always said he just wanted to look at them on his own for a while. He liked touching them, seeing them from a new angle. So why do you wanted to borrow money? No, things turned a little darker when he was a teenager. He started getting possessive and entitled. If something called to him, he decided it was because it already belonged to him. That's what he said last night, whatever he took belonged to him. He ran over the documents again and then handed Lucas' phone back. The magpie detail is interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of either of them use it before. As far as we can glean, it's their version of a distress call. Why a magpie? Magpies are Emika's favorite avian, likely because magpies are a combination of two twins. Loud. Intimidating in spite of their size, and notorious thieves. You forward the files to Tristan and put your phone away, feeling ready for the interrogation ahead. Now all I have to do is trick those little magpies into singing. Good luck! That evening, you wait in the quiet palace garden for Tristan. He appears beside you without warning, defying your typical keen senses. I swear my mother kept me an extra hour out of pure spite. 1 hour is not too bad in the grand scheme of things. Tristan pulls you closer, resting his head in the crook of your neck. You can feel the exhaustion radiating from his body. Luckily, You're here with me now. You wrap your arms around Tristan's waist and answer, locking your hands together at the small of his back. I have half a mind to never let you go again. You sway like that for a moment. Under the moonlight, you can pretend you're simply touring the palace grounds. Chloe Rose, that surprisingly mushy detective. Don't call me that. You remind me I have a job to do. The sooner we book my siblings for whatever it is they've done, the sooner we can put this whole thing and ourselves to bed. You pull back from Tristan, glancing toward the warm windows of the palace. I think this place is anything but warm. So you're ready to face them? Not exactly. Those dossiers you sent me have questions, many of them. For one, how did I not know my brother dated Louis Van Hoff? Out of everything in those files, what surprises you, a guy Casper dated? Yes, I believe Louis was too intelligent to fall for Casper. My siblings being loathed members of international syndicates and red carpet terrorists is, however, on brand. At least we know our planned approach is the right one. Emeka needs to believe that the only way to protect Casper is to have him confess. You should take the lead. Emeka will want to get the upper hand on you so badly they won't notice you 2 steps ahead of them. My favorite kind of interrogation. Also, Emeka doesn't think highly enough of me to believe that I could protect Casper from anything. They don't exactly think the sun shines out of my ass either. They are threatened by you, and in Mika's world, that's the highest compliment there is. You arrive in the West Wing's parlor to find Emeka laying upside down on a sofa, a laptop balanced on their belly. How in the hell? Casper sits cross-legged on the rug in front of them, palms open on his knees. Both are absorbed in their work. They don't notice you enter. None of this only wear white nonsense. I want my followers to dress like a legion of the damned. Beauty is a dominance, though shall dress like the lesser gods you are. With me being the greater god? Absolutely. Glance at Tristan and raise your eyebrows as the twins continue to gush over each other. Are they always like this? Luke's The Shining reference isn't far off. Just fast forward to their 20s and... You can call yourself the Church of the New Conquest or something like that. Something epic. The nerds will flock to you. Oh, no churches. It sounds so old. We shall be the nomads of the Emerald Night, the whispers of... You raise an eyebrow, Tristan. He shrugs back, as bewildered by his siblings as you are. If you ask me... A cult seems like a lot of work. You can call it the sad sycophants of Scroll Town, since I assume it's all online. Emeka snorts, completely unfazed by your presence. Casper mimics the sound just a moment too late. Wrong as usual. There will be a very exclusive retreat for those who ascend to the title of Knight Scepter, right here in Dracovia. What's the price of ascension? Whatever Emeka wants from them. God, you are, like, obsessed with her. Money. I have. Trinkets Casper can get, but secrets. Those are worth so much more. Lives, in some cases. You like having other people's lives in your hands, don't you, Emeka? Is that your subtle way of turning this chance meeting into an interrogation? Your mother hired me to get to the bottom of Nadja Zurich's murder. I don't need it to be subtle. You crouch and look Casper dead in the eyes. So, where were you at 7:30 p.m. on the night of her death? Mike, what a needlessly aggressive question. Casper was with me, of course. And where were you? In this very room. Though before you ask, no, I have no proof of it, but I have proof of what I was doing. They scroll through their phone and hand it to you with an air of disinterest. What does it say? Oh, look, it's... What do we call it now? Derpism is what I call Twitter. Devastatingly, fact 1, Cassandra Nardiana's face never changes. Perhaps it's the most astronomical amounts of Botox for fading has been... a smear campaign? Since a wolf ripping into her intestines is so difficult to portray, perhaps Nardini truly needs to be ripped apart before we see results. We all go into the cinema to suffer, so make us charming, Mika performed an act of kindness. Someone needed to end Nardini's career before she could embarrass herself further. An untalented young thing, a deliriously unoriginal, slandered me at a party last month. Casper helped me craft the post. You glance at Casper, he avoids your eyes, staring intently into a glowing log of fire. Casper helped you. Then he can tell me what it says. Casper looks at you in alarm, then quickly ducks his gaze to the floor. Am I supposed to remember something from over a week ago? I don't know, I do it. Basic cognition, Cas. How dare you discriminate against Casper? Asking your brother to confirm his alibi is hardly discrimination. He can take all the time he needs to answer. Casper plucks at the carpet as he scrambles for the memory or an excuse. Amika implied that Cassandra Nornidi lied about another actress to get her big break. Nice work. That proves you at least read it at some point. We replied to so many comments that night. I'm sure it's all just a blur. Right, it was the comments. My followers enjoy interacting with me personally. When a post goes viral, Casper uses my login to help me get more people. You can scroll through the comments because account replied to comments every minute, or so up until nearly 8 p.m. Is there any way of identifying which of you wrote what? Of course not. There'd be no point in doing it otherwise. You eye Casper, letting the silence stretch on. Amika's leg begins to jiggle. But that means Casper has no alibi. Amika is my alibi. No, Amika just proved their alibi. But they've done nothing to convince me that you weren't at the crime scene. You lean close, finding Casper's gaze and holding it. In fact, I'm positive that you were there. No, I wasn't. Of course I wasn't. No. Then you don't have something from the scene in your possession as a keepsake, maybe? Amika jolts up, speaking sharply over Casper before he can answer. Of course he doesn't. He's not some brainless magpie. You exchange a triumphant look with Tristan. There it is. Amika's trying to tell Casper to keep his mouth shut. Just confess, Casper. Let's lean in with the code word. To protect you, Amika goes deathly still. What did you say? How did you know about Magpie? Because, believe it or not, children, I'm good at my job. Now, I know that Casper was at the murder scene before Tristan and I got there, and I know he took something with him when he left. For the first time since you've met them, Amika looks frightened. What are you gonna do? Unless I get a thorough, verifiable explanation, I'm going to conclude that Casper was responsible for her death. Ain't nothing to do with Notcha. Then prove it, because if you don't, the killer gets wind of this, you can bet they'll let you take the fall anyway. Amika chews their lip. Casper looks at them helplessly. I have nothing to say to you. Before Amika can respond, Casper bolts, leaping from the parlor couch with the grace and speed of a leopard, narrowly missing your shoulder. Casper, stop! Casper wrenches a bookcase from the wall and dives through into the secret passages beyond. Damn, he's fast. You move to follow, but Amika surprises you by laying a cool hand on your elbow. He'll be going through the passages. We can head him off. No funny business. No, you've made your case, and I can see that you have a stronger reasoning. Follow me. Amika leads you through the halls and into Casper's dimly lit bedroom. He frantically pushes something deeper into a chest of drawers before turning to you with a hunted look. Don't come closer! Casper breathes heavily, eyes darting between you and every exit in the room. Casper, it's over. Tell her what happened. What were you really doing at 7:30 that night? I'd been helping Amika with their post, but Engaging with comments made up emojis is uninspiring. I had to leave. Rude, but okay. It's true. I agree with him. Well, I wanted to see if Tristan had brought anything interesting back from America, so I headed to his room. You were gonna steal my stuff, really, Casper? It's getting old. Mother encourages all to take jobs. This is mine. And you got there, Hal? Stop dragging it out and just tell him. Casper relaxes, settling onto the familiarity of the old sibling squabble. He stretches out in front of the fireplace. Via the passage, of course. Nobody uses them anymore except me and Amiga, and now the killer, I guess. Did you see anything unusual while you were in there? I'm not sure I did. The blood, Casper. He saw blood on the floor leading from Tristan's room. Well, to be honest, I thought it might have been a prank, but then I saw Nadja leaking all over the place. That's just like you to think someone bleeding out on my floor is an inconvenience. Casper, when you saw Nadja, why didn't you call for help? He was in shock, clearly. Casper can answer the question himself. Well, I was fascinated and quite disturbed. Perhaps I was in shock, it's difficult to say. I couldn't quite tear my gaze from her. Usually blood makes me ill, but she looked so vulnerable, exquisitely relaxed. Oh yeah, that's not a psycho tendency. I'm surprised you didn't take a picture. A photograph could never have done it justice. So you took a souvenir? Yes. Nadja's eyes begged me to remember what I'd seen, memorialize it somehow, so I peeled the garrote from her neck. I don't even know what to say to you right now, dude. I want to, like, beat the living shit out of you. She could have still been alive. You remember what Ruby had mentioned about Nadja's stab wounds being applied post-mortem, and a daunting realization falls over you. A garrote. You stole the murder weapon. I couldn't very well have taken Nadja, could I? The garrote was the next best thing. You need some help, dude. Seriously. Our working theory has been the royal dagger was the murder weapon. You completely derailed my investigation. Consider it a lesson in not jumping to conclusions. Like to jump my foot right up your ass? Are we done here? Casper came to me as soon as he left the scene. I told him to act like he hadn't seen anything. The end. Did you know about the garrote? Amika hesitates and shakes her head. No. He only told me about that little detail last night. I needed time alone with it. It's a piece that demands time and careful appreciation. You've had more than enough time with it. Time to hand it over. No! Casper, this is serious. We need to run tests on it. It's mine. If you wanted it so badly, you should have gotten there earlier. Amika looks at you with a flicker of uncertainty before backing up. Their brother. And how do we know you won't just use it to frame us? The longer you go without finding a murderer, the worse you look. Chloe, we need the garrote, otherwise our case is all hearsay. At the garrote... Lord help me! Literally having to pay for, like, the garrote. I just don't even know what to say. Oh, God. I don't care how badass you think you are, you're not prepared for the hell I'll unleash if you get in the way of my work. Margaret and I have both seen what Chloe can do when she's pissed off. I suggest you don't push her further. The twins blink at you in surprise. Amika tilts her head, as if trying to determine your level of sincerity. Get the damn garrote, Casper. He gives you a ponderous look and then nods. Fine, just give me time to say goodbye. Be glad I don't use the thing on you. I don't even want to know what that means. You pull out your phone as Casper rummages through his chest of drawers, seemingly have forgotten the weapon's precise location. We're about to have the murder weapon in our possession. So it wasn't the dagger? What is it? Is it a wire? A garrote. I knew it! It fits the laceration at the neck perfectly. How did we not figure this out before now? I'll start researching the historical significance of her garrotes. Where was it? Can we see it? Casper had it. And we're sure he isn't the killer? I don't think so. He's just a big fan of gross trinkets. That kid just keeps getting creepier. I'll run tests on the gross first thing tomorrow. Make sure you ask Casper exactly what he touched. I'm sure he touched the handles. You look up from your phone as Casper places the garrote before you on a velvet cushion. Here, be gentle with it. You carefully transfer the garrote into an evidence bag, the wires still thick with crusted blood and shreds of skin. Casper, how exactly did you get this out of her neck? Casper leans back on his palms, tilting his head in deep contemplation. I don't remember how I came to be standing over her. One second I was frozen, staring into those abyssal eyes. Oh, she's art. Even stepping in her blood felt like it would have ruined the sanctity of the scene. The sanctity. Focus, the garrote. I was getting to that. I took hold of each of the garrotes to peel it out of her neck. I tried to be gentle, but it snagged. Oh, that is revolting. I had to touch her to get it out just once. Her skin felt like porcelain. Cold. Perfect. What? If you can't have these details, brother, how will you ever make it court politics? Did you notice anything else about the body? Casper considers the question a little too intently. Not in the way you're asking. He's not going to get in trouble for this, is he? God, I wish he would. Amicus, Casper stole vital evidence. I don't know how Dracovia handles this sort of thing, but in New York, he'd be looking at another criminal charge. But if I offer up some information in exchange for your discretion? If you're hiding something else about the murder. He's not talking about the murder, he's talking about a little information we have about you. At least, someone you used to be violently in love with. What are you talking about? The twins grin with Cheshire cats, with a fresh canary between their jaws. Juliana, you weren't exactly her first royal fling, Tristan. Or did you mean you didn't know? She romanced one of the other siblings before she agreed to marry you. Aren't you just dying to know who? Wait, what? This is where we end. I'm tilted. I'm literally tilted. Alright, without further ado, thanks for watching. Love your beautiful faces. Remember that if you did enjoy the content, if you did enjoy the voices, yada yada yada, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Is the best way to help yours truly out with content and this community and helping it grow. And by doing such things, also continues to help the channel, the community, the video, anything and everything you do. Literally and figuratively helps. So it's greatly appreciated. Can't stress that enough. Without further ado, catch you all later. Peace out.